Alright, guys, so welcome to the PF Music Podcast. This is episode 125th from this podcast. I'm very happy that what we're doing, thanks to you guys, the podcast is growing slowly but surely, and I really appreciate it. Now, this topic is gonna be about inner conflict, but before we go there, make sure that you like and subscribe from the YouTube channel, BitChute or Rumble. Okay, and I'm gonna put links down below for those people that are listening to the podcast through those platforms. If you're listening to the podcast in Anchor FM, you can do simply Google search, and my podcast is gonna appear in Google. And even though isn't the main hoster is Anchor.fm, you can still go to your favorite music hoster and listen to the podcast in Anchor.fm, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, you name it, so on and so forth. This is your host, Pablo Ruiz Vargas. I think I mentioned already, but let me just do it again just to make sure that we are all on the same page. Topic of today for the episode 125th: when does the inner conflict end? When does the inner conflict end? When is everything going to end? You might ask. When? You know, a couple of years ago, so I was watching Cobra Kai, and you have the two main characters, right? You have Johnny. Johnny's the blonde guy. That's, he decided to open a new karate dojo. This case called Cobra. Reopen it, right? And the other side you have Daniel Russo, I think. Daniel Russo or whatever. The main character of the famous Karate Kid movie. You notice in the movie that you have one person that has a result of his life, Johnny in this case, because one event in the past led him to have a very miserable life. You can see that in the beginning of the movie. He's trying to just put a TV in one of these rich neighborhoods in Beverly Hills from California, I don't know. And he hates his job, right? And then you have Daniel DeRusso, that he opens up multiple cars, dealerships, right? And he looks successful, quote unquote. But interesting is that both of them has an outcome because one event. The event was the tournament that happens in the first movie. You have Johnny, that he has a miserable life because he's still carrying his loss from the first tournament. And then you have Daniel LaRusso, that he has a confidence or a fake confidence because of the results of the tournament. Now you may ask, okay, but Pablo, one looks like he's successful and the other one looks as a failure. Follow me in this one. Even though Daniel DeRusso is quote unquote successful, he has a good life and a good trophy wife, right? The experience still haunted him. When he first met Johnny because he needed help, he couldn't handle Johnny because he still carried trauma, right? And he's still making fun of him and putting him down. Now in the case of Johnny, he still looks at Darusa and he's jealous about it, right? And he's so jealous that even though years have gone by, he's almost 50 years old, he just allowed that event transform him into the person that he's at that moment, which is a loser. Now, why I mentioned this story? Because in both sides you can just see how the inner conflicts allow them to to choose different paths, right? And let me just go with Johnny. Johnny is the clear example. What happens when you allow inner conflicts to manifest and just control you? Instead of just saying, you know what, it's time to move on. Let me just find something else and move on. Which is very interesting. The second season, all Johnny's friends they move on. Some of them just became Christians, fathers, their kids, everything, and they move on from that experience or those times. But Johnny didn't. You know why Johnny didn't? Because he allowed that inner conflict affect his daily life. Now, the question that I present in the title of the podcast is, when does the inner conflict ends? And the answer is never. Never. It never ends. And your mission is to make sure that those inner conflicts do not determine who you are today and tomorrow. If you allow inner conflicts to determine who you are today, you will have a very bad or not likable result. For the reason being is that emotions are the one triggering your decision making. So therefore, you're not going to see what you want today or tomorrow, but worse, in the long run, you're going to be in a worse place. And because you're in a worse place, now you take it and people they're close to you. Family members, your sons, daughters, your mom and pop, uncle, friends, yourself. Just because you didn't pay no attention or any to that inner conflict. Your job in life is just to make sure those inner conflict or inner demons do not manifest and do not control your life, right? And these demons is the flesh is one of them, right? Flesh, and let me just go a little bit Christian on this. It's like the Bible says, if you become of the flesh, if you become of the flesh, Satan is your father. Now, what is the flesh? Flesh is drugs, flesh is porn, flesh is just ridiculous amount of sex that you can control, urges, all those things that you can't control, traumas, right? Doing things that you're not supposed to do when people are not looking. Those are flesh, and those are the inner conflicts. Procrastination, lying, deceitfulness, manipulation. All those are inner conflict. One of them bigger, one of them smaller. Masturbation. All those are inner conflicts. And imagine, I know it sounds like a lot. Now imagine all those inner conflicts determining how you deal with your life, what you think is going to happen. The results that you're going to get in the future is not going to be a result that you're going to like. That's why you have all people that bitter. How you notice that? How you ask yourself, how, if you enjoy your life, how you're all and bitter? Because he allowed inner conflicts to determine his life. Now he's 85. Look at his life. Broke $1,000 or $1,500. Social Security. Divorce maybe. Kids don't want to see him or see her. But one thing is common. all the inner conflict never got dealt. Especially with the one that I mentioned in my last episode with lying. And lying is not only to other people. The worst lie you can just make is the lie that you do to yourself. Because lying to yourself, that means that you're gonna lie to everybody. Inner conflicts are never gonna end, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't. I guess a lot of people has seen the movie Beautiful Mind. I think the mathematician that is in the main movie is John Nash, I think. And the story goes that he's a schizophrenic. And he has a bad schizophrenia, where he sees people that are not there. You know, he go crazy to the point that almost destroy his life and his family. Now, by the end of the movie, he received a Nobel Prize for being a great mathematician and introduce the way of modern economy. Now, even though he was schizophrenic, he did not allow schizophrenia determine his life. The inner conflict never went away, but he always knew how to deal with. Dealt with it, accept it as it is, no complain it, and with that, he had the outcome that he wanted. And this goes to show you that there's no excuses. He's a schizophrenic guy that he's seeing people that are not there. Can't make it happen. There's no reason for you not to control those demons. Demons that are affecting you, or demons that are affecting everybody around you. There's no excuses for that. And with those, my last words is, when does the inner conflict end? And the answer is no, never. And you should be prepared for it. Not for today, but forever. Make sure that you always minimize it and always learn to deal with it. It's like working out. Pain never goes away, but you get used to it, right? But if there's no pain, no gain. So make sure that you know and learn how to deal with it. But this, guys, this was episode 125 from the P Alpha Music Podcast. Make sure that you like and subscribe to all my video platforms, YouTube, BitChute, Rumble. You listen to the podcast in Anchor.fm or any other sound or music platform. With a simple play, you're going to help me. This was your host, Pablo Ruiz Vargas, episode 125. When does the inner conflict end? With this, I'm out. Have a good night.